Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
You leave here without punching out, and you ain't never gonna have to punch out again, Bubba.
This is episode 245, recorded November 1st, 2023.
Where's my stogie?
It's All Saints Day. What are we doing here?
Gruesome Magazine.
Yeah, you needed that stogie. I'm your host, Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-hosts Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this radical, gory, and influential and gruesome decade. Crystal Cleveland is not with us tonight. I'm sure she'll be back. Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist, co-host of Decades for the Classic Era and the 1970s. How you doing, Chad?
I'm good, man. I'm really, really good and tired.
Good and tired.
Good and tired.
Good and plenty.
I wish it was good and plenty like the candy, but it's not.
Ew, it's the worst candy.
Oh, or candy corn. Yeah.
I'd rather eat candy corn than good and plenty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if they're
Absolutely.
good and plenties, it depends if they're soft or not. If they're old and hard, they're terrible.
You can microwave the hell out of them, and I still wouldn't eat it. Good and
Oh,
plenty.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know anything you can do with them.
Also with us is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s, an all-around nice guy and
thank
author of the stunning book
Raum.
Raum.
Raum, escort by name. I'm
you doing,
doing
Bill?
fine. Well, we went and bought 2 bags of Halloween candy, and then it got kind of cold and drizzly here, and absolutely nobody stopped by the house. So now I've got to eat 2 bags of Halloween candy.
Oh, the torture.
I
Yeah.
know.
I wish. I live out in the country. We had nobody, and my wife bought to hand out in case somebody came. She bought little packets of mini cheese balls, the crunchy ones.
Mhm.
They're like round
What?
Cheetos kind of. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh boy, I get to eat
Yeah.
all of these cheese balls. Well, I like them, but it's mostly air. Anyway,
Well, yeah.
That's how you got to look at it.
it is. All right. Decades of Horror and Gruesome Magazine are partnering with Play Now Media on several of their channels. In particular, Decades of Horror of the 1980s is on the Wicked Horror TV channel, so you can check us out there, as well as our YouTube channel and audio podcast. So catch us there and check out the movies on the Wicked Horror TV channel. In fact, I believe our pick for the next episode is on Wicked Horror TV. I think. Here I am talking about stuff I can't remember. Okay. On this podcast, we start out by giving a few details of the film we're covering, followed by each of our first impressions, taglines, and then we move into kind of a general discussion of the film as best we can. Today's topic is Maximum Overdrive. And I'm telling you, 2 Stephen Kings in a row, and I sort of got chastised tonight because I was on another podcast with Dave Dreher, and I said, does it bother you if we do Stephen King podcast without you on him? And he goes, no, not really, but I saw you were doing Maximum Overdrive. I'd like to join you for that. I said, well, we're doing it tonight. Oh, okay, well, I can't do tonight.
Well,
And I'm like, oh, crap. I'm so stupid about that stuff. I forget to invite adjacent people.
yeah,
But
Dave
anyway.
would have been good on this one.
He would. This film, Maximum Overdrive, 1986, was written and directed by Stephen King, loosely based on his 1973 story Trucks. The cast includes Emilio Estevez, Pat Hingle, Laura Harrington, Yeardley Smith, John Short, and there's a few character actors in here that I recognize and really like and things they've done. So I threw them on here. Leon Rippey, Giancarlo Esposito, and Frankie Faison. Production company, De Laurentiis Entertainment Group. It was filmed in and around Wilmington, North Carolina. Filming dates, it started in July 14th, 1985. I have no idea how long it took. It was released July 25th, 1986. Budget was an estimated $9 to $10 million, and the domestic box office was $7.4 million.
Yeah.
Back when Wilmington was a hotbed of movie-making activity.
That's right.
Synopsis: a group of people try to survive when machines start to come alive and become homicidal.
Yep.
And that there is Wanda June, the waitress that can't understand why the machines are rebelling when
because we made them. We made you. That sounds more like Yeardley Smith.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into first impressions. And, Chad picked this one.
Way to go, Chad.
Is there a reason you're wearing that AC/DC hat tonight, Chad?
No reason in particular.
No reason.
Yeah. No reason. What was the question again?
I'll bet you saw this at the theater. What were your first impressions?
I absolutely sure the hell did. I remember at the time I was already a huge Stephen King fan. I was a very big, huge AC/DC fan. And I just thought this is the best pairing since Reese's peanut butter cups. This is the best thing that ever happened to movies. This is Stephen King. And if you
what could go wrong?
If you saw the promo on TV, Stephen King promised the scariest time you've ever seen at the movies. Blah 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 blah.
If you want to do it right, you got to do it yourself.
You got to do it. And so then I was like, wow, this is going to be fantastic. And then I found out the hard way the effects that cocaine has on the human intellect and mind. Mm-hmm. And boy, did I come out of that theater wondering what the hell just happened to me. I felt like I had been the one ran over by that steamroller, that kid. And God, this was so terrible. And the weird thing about it is I love this movie. I can't explain that. I watched it now and I said, holy shit, this is bad. This is the worst movie ever. But I watched it till the end, even though I remember every little thing about it, and cringed at a lot of it. And I still can't explain that. Never done cocaine in my life. And I still don't understand that. But I was in the theater that day, and the first day it opened and saw it, and I still watch it to this day. I'm kind of sorry to say, but I'm kind of not. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All righty, Bill Mulligan. What about you?
Well, I did not see it in the theater. I was kind of looking forward to it, kind of, sort of, because it was in Fangoria and the others. I saw the Green Goblin. That looked pretty cool. But Trucks is not one of my favorite Stephen King stories. The whole premise did not really, to me, sound super promising. And then I saw the reviews. And sure, Stephen King movies don't always get the best reviews from the high hat critics, but these were folks who normally would like this sort of thing, and so I didn't really feel the need to see it until I caught it on HBO or Showtime, one of those channels, and I saw where they were coming from. This was pretty dumb. Not a scare to be found.
Pretty dumb.
As far as evil truck movies go, it ain't Duel. That's for sure. I do remember the trailer. The trailer was probably the scariest thing, because Stephen King, especially if you hold a light under his face, is a pretty scary looking guy. And he's promising, I'm going to scare the hell out of you. It's like, no. Now, I think he's kind of tough on it now. Whenever people bring it up, why they bring this up to him, I don't know, just to be cruel. Let's take the multi-gazillionaire down a peg or two. Hey, what about Maximum Overdrive? And he sort of hangs his head in shame. But, listen, for a movie that was directed by a guy who had never directed a movie before, and this is by his own admission. We're not trashing him out of school here. He was not handling his cocaine terribly well. It's not that bad.
That's very polite, Phil.
And it's a very okay. So we do classics and not so classics, but this one is it's a classic 80s. If you wanted to do a montage, movies of the 80s, and you just have a bunch of things, this would be in there. You would have a shot of that Green Goblin truck coming at the street or something, and people were like, "Oh yeah, that one." There's a few like that. Masters of the Universe, films that are not good by the standard of that we usually hold good movies to, but they do take you back to a time and a place, and this one does a very good job of that. They don't make them like this anymore. That's probably a good thing, but it's nice to have a film like this around to remind you. And listen, I don't want to get any letters. I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there who absolutely love this film without any apologies. It's not a guilty pleasure. It's a pleasure, because I can see watching this movie at the right time in the right place with your friends, maybe trying some Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill for the first time. It's going to leave an impression. And, so.
The Boone's Farm, maybe.
Yeah. Well, if you threw it up on the carpet, It left a total impression. It never comes out.
It belongs to the school of wine that never saw a grape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Strawberry Hill, of course, it never saw a grape.
Well, even if it was grape wine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what did you think about it, Jeff?
Well,
yeah, Jeff, tell us.
I went to the theater.
Oh, boy.
Because I didn't pay no attention to those stinking critics. And I walked out of there going, pretty much like, well, that was a mess. That was disappointing.
Because critics know what they were talking about.
It sounded kind of cool. I mean, Jesus, Terminator, machines take over the world, and they said something, but we get. So anyway, this is one of those movies that I think over time has become so bad it's good just because the dialogue is so bad, the plot makes no sense whatsoever. People are doing stupid stuff all the time. It works on some machines. It doesn't work on other machines. That it becomes something that it's fun to talk about and just laugh about how, there's all these catchphrases in there where they're trying to do the, I'm not good at these anyway, but what's the Schwarzenegger one from,
I'll be back.
Well, I was thinking I'll be back or something. There's a bunch of those like that where they're supposed to be the badass, welcome to primetime, bitch, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they just are so bad.
Suck on this. Boom.
So anyway, but
yeah,
it's and I got to tell you, for me, Yeardley Smith kind of makes this movie. That's such an annoying voice.
Yeah,
but it was so great. And the one great choice was having her running monologues over the action scenes, so you could still hear her whining and complaining about stuff. That was a good choice. So I have done cocaine. Luckily, I did not have as much money as Stephen King.
Ooh.
So but
bullet dodged.
I can't even imagine what that.
Good thing you didn't write any movies during that time.
I absolutely see the reasoning behind it. I'm going to go do this movie. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm going to need some help. Apparently, he asked George Romero for some help too. But anyway,
there's rumors that George Romero directed parts of this film. But if true, George Romero certainly never put it on his resume. As you can imagine.
Stephen King's neither one of them has ever said that. But I could see why. If Stephen King wants to remain a friend of George Romero, he's not going to stick him with that.
Yeah.
George was having a tough enough time trying to get mainstream movies made, and he didn't need Maximum Overdrive under his belt. in any way, shape, or form.
Well, now that we've done first impressions, it is now time for
everyone's favorite
taglines with Chad.
You sure it's everyone's favorite?
It is.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I've never had anybody say it's not their favorite, except
Okay.
maybe you.
Oh, yeah,
I say that every
that
time.
doesn't count.
Okay. First of all, pardon my voice. I've been a little under the weather, so I'm a little croaky, but
That could work,
Appreciate you
though.
being here, man.
I'll do the best I can here. These are just as bad as the movie. Maximum Terror, Maximum King.
Okay, Maximum.
We may have gotten more king than we wanted.
The new Maximum
Yeah.
Overdrive candy bar. Who Made Who, which is not a tagline, it's the name of a song from the movie.
Yeah, who made
That's-
who?
And a
Somebody-
line by this crazy woman.
Yeah, and is that really a question? Who made who? We made the trucks. That's the trucks
We
didn't
made
make
you.
us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my God, I feel ashamed to even read this.
Yeah.
Stephen King's masterpiece of terror, directed by the master himself.
Ooh. Yeah.
And he did have there was a trailer where he came on and said, if you want it, you got to do it
Yeah.
yourself if you want it done right.
Oh yeah, boy, those words came back and bit him in the ass.
Oh my God. Imagine your worst nightmare. Machines take over the world.
Not
Let me
even in the top 10 of my worst nightmares.
Let me tell you something. That is not my worst nightmare, and I'd never mention my worst nightmare on this podcast.
That's probably a good move.
But that's
Yeah.
that's
Considering-
nowhere near. Yeah.
But machines
Consider
are
they
involved.
would be all over it like ants on sugar.
Yep.
Okay. Evil's Wheels, the new Hot Wheel line.
Evil's Wheels. Hmm. Okay, you got one more chance to make this
That's
good.
just
Then I should have read something else. Let me just read the back of the menu at Denny's instead here. The day horror went into overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive.
yeah.
Didn't
Really.
even put that. It's just the
That's
day horror
terrible.
went.
Wow, these were all bad.
Boy, and that went out on a downer.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at some. Oh, wait a minute.
Mhm.
And that's been Taglines with Chad.
Let's just keep dragging it out.
Just in case you thought Chad was just babbling.
Just to make sure everybody knew we were done with
Yeah,
it.
they don't. If they
They
turned
knew.
in late and they're like,
Yeah.
"Is this like the last words of Dutch Schultz? He's just saying random things
Yeah.
that come into his head."
They knew we were done with it. We're done before we started.
Okay, I'm just I don't know. We'll
yeah,
talk about that later. But that poster's okay. But
Yeah, it is. It is.
it's okay. It's all right. I mean, it seems to think that Emilio Estevez is a way bigger star than I remember him being.
well,
He was pretty hot back then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was this
And he's
right
not
around
terrible in the
Breakfast
movies,
Club
just-
and
I guess.
Repo Man?
Breakfast Club, Repo Man.
it just this looks. I mean, to me, if I was just walking by the theater and I saw this, I would think, so this is about a young trucker who probably falls in
Walking
with the mob
Tall,
or something.
part 17.
Yeah, and then he's got to go get his revenge. So he gets his truck, which he's tricked up with some scary, face on it. He's going
So
to
he can go
take the
fight
man out.
Spider-Man.
Right. This does not say horror movie at all. At all.
I wonder how much they had to
Norman
pay
Osborn.
Marvel for that.
I
they'd have to,
wondered
wouldn't they?
about that.
Marvel was at
They
that
had
time.
to.
Marvel was probably giving their properties away.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true. They keep talking about remaking this, and I don't think Marvel's going to let you use the Green Goblin anymore.
Mm.
And that's sort of what
They
everyone
they did
remembers.
do a second one called Trucks. It was named Trucks.
Right.
I never saw it, but
I did. It's actually on Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
Might talk about that a little bit. This is a very strange poster.
This is look at it. He is the puppet master, pulling the
Yes.
strings of the actors, just like in real life. And this is not a good poster.
Mm-mm. Something
I
tells
had
me
to zoom
sales
in
were
order
not
to see what the
fucking
heck it
warranted.
was. Yeah.
And again, I wonder. I mean, I love Stephen King. I know what Stephen King looks like, but is that really going to sell the movie to middle America, most of whom probably don't read the books? And you know, Stephen King sells more books than anyone on earth probably, but that's not enough people. You need more people than that buying tickets to make a movie a success. And I don't know.
Well, King, you know, King was when I was working in the bookstore. I was working for Walden Books, and they used to talk about things like, you know, if they were really top selling authors, like a 2 King year could make your year, or a 2 Danielle Steele. That was another one. If you had 2 Danielle Steeles in the same year, that could just make your sales, you know. That,
wow.
Anyway. All right. And we have one more.
See, I like that one because it's cartoony and you know.
It is.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
There's another one. I don't know that I have it here. I might see if I can pull it up while we're talking. That's sort of like a comic art of similar to that. The Green Goblin truck is coming out of the thing, and it's running over somebody, and there's another truck in the background.
I found a lot of posters, but I wasn't sure if any of them were legit posters or deviant art stuff. It's hard to tell nowadays.
Right. It is. It's really hard to tell. Well, we were mentioning this guy.
There it is. That was the trailer. Look how scary he looks.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes are kind of crossed, and he's back.
He looks like a werewolf who's been bitten by a werewolf.
Stephen King, and again, listen, Stephen King could buy and sell me in a day. He's an odd-looking guy. He, genuinely just kind of odd-looking, and I've seen him in. Most people don't think of him as a great actor, but I remember him, and I'm trying to remember what it was. It might have been Sons of Anarchy. I'm not sure, but he played a scary guy who shows up and like cleans up bodies and stuff.
Yeah, that was
He was good. He was genuinely disturbing in that. So
some roles are perfect for him. Others he shouldn't be.
Right.
He shouldn't touch.
Yeah.
Roles like that.
He's got a black leather motorcycle jacket persona too, or look, if he can actually do the part. But I think when we did Cujo, he talked about having a motorcycle and getting stranded at the mechanic that had the big dog that started out giving him the idea.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, so there he is at the ATM that says, just calls him an asshole, right?
This machine just called me an asshole.
I'm watching that. I'm thinking, so this is his Hitchcock moment,
Yeah. Hitchcock usually kept his mouth shut, though.
It's the same. He's like Sammy Castle. He just plays the same character in every movie he's in.
Yeah,
pretty much. He's
plays Sammy Castle.
He's Jordy Vale all the time, or Jordy Verrill.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you got to admit, not
Sammy's
only
kill me for that.
in movies, this guy was like all over the place in the 80s.
Oh my God! Yeah, this is a recycled. No, actually, this is a different one. But yeah, and I had to leave a few movies out because I couldn't fit them all on. He was just doing so much stuff. A Stephen King novel they were optioned as soon as he said, "I'm thinking of writing a book." Boom, optioned. Mm-hmm. They don't even know what it is. He could have been something absolutely impossible. This book is the scariest
book I've ever written. How much money can we give you?
And if you're looking at this, I mean, Creepshow, Stand By Me, Pet Sematary, Shining, Dead Zone. I'd say those are classics.
Those are all good movies.
Everyone on there is
up there. Yeah, I mean, none of them's a bad movie. There are a few stinkers, but
we also have. Who all do we have here? We've got George Romero, Stanley Kubrick, David Cronenberg, John Carpenter, Louis T.
Yeah, I mean that is a pretty formidable. So back then, if you were a horror director, if you were a director who would do horror, in case of Kubrick never did horror, you had to know if you adapted a Stephen King book, there's a pretty good chance this was going to be one in the win column. This was probably going to make the studio a lot of money, and that's what you need to do if you want to be able to do those projects that are near and dear to your heart. So yeah, that was money in the bank.
And you had some good directors behind these films as well.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
John Carpenter, like you said.
I'm trying to remember. Rob
Louis
Reiner.
Tigg, Rob Reiner,
Yeah.
George Romero.
Mm-hmm.
I've never ever seen a semi with anything like that on it. I've
No.
seen painted up semis, you know, with fancy. I forget what they call them. It's like the airfoils on the top of the cabs, but I've never seen one with a big thing like that on it.
Well, they sort of needed it. They needed something to make it stand out.
And something to make it stand out. Yeah,
have a personality, sort
of.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have seen this particular truck, the restored version.
Oh yeah. Well, it said the guy like it was all burned up, and then somebody bought it, and somewhere down the line they restored it, and now they travel around to conventions and stuff.
Yeah, I saw it at a convention once a couple of years back. Yeah.
I assume it's fiberglass.
Yeah, I think so. The way it shimmied as it blew up, it looked like fiberglass.
Mm-hmm. It is. You're right. It gives it an iconic image that otherwise it wouldn't have. You know, just a big semi in there.
And it was supposed to be like a truck for a toy store or something.
Yeah,
if I remember right.
Yeah, it was a toy. Yeah.
Happy Toys or something like that. I think.
Yeah, there's our mascot for Happy Toys, a terrifying goblin.
All right, well, our star.
Here's our star. And I mean, I like this guy. Loved Repo Man.
An ex-con, was he supposed to be an ex-Vietnam vet guy too or something?
No,
I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think he's just an ex-con.
Young for. Yeah, it looks pretty young for a non.
Good old Bubba only hired ex-cons so that he could make them work 9 hours and only clock in for 8.
I have known bosses like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I've worked for people where basically I was the only person who wasn't an ex-con, and I was like the college boy, you know, what kept me around. It's like some of those ex-cons were smarter than I was. But
how's he doing this movie? What do you guys think about this?
I think he's fine. I mean, what can you do if you try to act your heart out in a movie like this? You're going to look dumb.
Yeah. He was a big Stephen King fan too. Is one of the reasons I heard he took the role in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And but I've always liked Emilio Estevez. I think him and Charlie Sheen did a movie together one time where they were trash men.
Yeah.
And it was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. It was so idiotic.
What was that? That's familiar when you say that.
It's I can't remember what the name of it is now, but it was hilarious. It was funny, and his dramatic roles, Breakfast Club. Come on, that was just an outstanding.
Well, he was in a bunch of these famous young adult movies, Tex, The Outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
He was in
Young Guns. Young Gun. I loved Young Guns.
St. Elmo's Fire. When you guys say that was then. This is now. These are all.
Yeah, he was a pretty hot commodity.
Is it Men at Work?
That was it.
Oh, that was it.
Hilarious. Yep. If anybody's never seen that movie, go get it. Go get it and watch it. It's hilarious.
Now he hasn't done a lot of stuff lately. You know, I don't know if he's retired or is there a TV show that he's been working on? I don't know. Just the last thing I think I remember seeing him in. Oh wow, I'm looking at this now. That was actually a long time ago. Was Rated X. That's what it was called, Rated X. It wasn't Rated X, but that was all the way back in 2000.
I
don't know. Maybe he's just sitting home counting money.
He was in a TV series a couple years ago, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Oh,
yeah, he was in that movie. Yeah,
the public voicing a bunch of stuff. Dear Dracula. He did The Way. Okay. I think that was with his dad, isn't it?
Well, he is fortunate that he has, as he has aged and gotten older, he looks like Martin Sheen.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's good. That's because that's a pretty good look. I mean, Martin Sheen also looks like Martin Sheen, but he looks like an old Martin Sheen, and Emilio now looks kind of like a young Martin Sheen.
That was the whole plan, right? Just to keep the
That
Sheen
probably
family
was.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was the Way is a kind of a spiritual journey thing with his father. Martin Sheen goes off on a trek across Spain, if I remember right. I'm just pulling this off the top of my head. So, but yeah, he was in that group of young actors that they just made a ton of movies. It felt like they were all making them together. I don't know how many of them were actually that way. Demon Christmas, there's a bunch of there's D3, The Mighty Ducks, D2, The Mighty Ducks.
Which is probably where he made the most of his fortune, is those Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
The Mighty Ducks. Crazy. That's crazy. So anyway, yeah, he was a standard there for a while, and I think he does the best he can. I mean, it's just the lines are so crazy.
They're incredibly stupid and dumb.
Dumb and stupid.
And stupid. Let's not forget.
Let us forget stupid.
But yeah, he was trying his best to put something into him, but the words weren't there for him, you know. And Stephen King's never written anything for the screen that was really that great.
Which is strange, because his books are very cinematic. When you at least these early ones, when you're reading them, you're thinking this is going to be a great movie. And if you can write good dialogue in a novel, there's no real reason why you can't write good dialogue for a screenplay. But yeah, they don't. It's not his strength. Writing screenplays is not one of his strengths.
I feel like in books and novels, he's able to. What he's good at is getting into the characters' heads, and I mean, and getting into the dirty details sometimes of what's in the character's head, and that's hard to pull off on screen. And I think that's where it may fall short for him, because he can't really bring that sort of characterization, you know,
right,
and not so broad of a canvas. I don't think
he's also good at painting a good picture of the setting, you know, and he sets most things in Maine because he knows it, and his descriptions when you're in, you know, Jerusalem's lot or something, you get a real feel for the town and the attitude and the way people are, and it works very well.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think part of it too is he is so detailed in his backstories, and character development, that it's hard to know how much of that to put into the movie and what not to put into the movie to get it to that stage. So I don't know. And
and at the time, people were just willing to just hand him money. It's Stephen King. They were just handing him money, hand over fist.
Well, they even his publishers quit, you know, right when he probably needed it the most, when he was binging out on alcohol and cocaine, etc. They pretty much quit editing him. You know, he's the star. We'll just put it out and make a ton of money, and it's you can tell. You know,
I've read a couple of those books. Dreamcatcher.
Well,
I was thinking of like Tommy Knockers, actually. But,
that one too.
All right. Where were we? So Pat Hingle.
Oh yeah,
my man Pat.
I
love that guy, man.
He's a bad boss, but he's got a rocket launcher, you know. And okay, so you got to give him that.
He's the most believable action hero in this in this movie. The most realistic.
Start out with some. Let's just totally ignore reality in all effects. Like we start off, I think one of the first scenes is these two guys sitting outside on the sidewalk, and one of them's been to the baseball game, and he says, "Oh yeah, Mickey Mantle hit three of them out of the park. I think one of them went 250 feet." And I'm like, if you watch any baseball at all, 250 feet does not go out of the park. I mean,
well,
if you wanted to talk about a ball that was hit a long ways, you'd say 450 feet. So
Sure.
I'm not sure what the point was there. And Stephen King was a big baseball fan, so he knew better. So I think it was supposed to be a joke, but it doesn't
Kind of
quite
obscure.
come off that way.
Yeah.
This rocket launcher that Pat Hingle's using is a single-use launcher. You don't reload it with another rocket and shoot it. You shoot one and it's done. But he shoots a couple of them, then he puts her back in the box to use again.
Who needs logic in this movie?
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
And he calls everybody else Bubba, but his name is Bubba. That's right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was in. Here's another. So you said Commissioner Gordon. He was in Batman and Robin.
He was very good in it too.
Yeah.
He seems like he'd have made a good Jonah Jameson too.
Yeah. Well, he certainly would have the jerk part down. Yeah.
The screaming and yelling stuff.
Jameson was always a tall, skinny dude, though.
Well, I know. Not physically, but
he always had that. I'll get you, old Gabby Hayes almost delivery,
Quick and the Dead.
Mm-hmm. He was like the bartender in Quick.
Also, Batman Returns. So how many of those did he do? Was it those two?
He made a bunch. He was
3 Batman.
Batman Returns.
Those are the Tim Burton ones. Yeah.
Forever. Wasn't he in that one? Forever.
Yeah, and you look at that face. I mean, that is a face of he could be behind the bar at any Western ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got that world weary, I've seen stuff look. Gruff but lovable. Except in this movie, he's just gruff. He ain't lovable at all.
He's just gruff. Jesus. He was in the Gauntlet way back when. All righty. Well, he's good in this.
Yeah. We know he's not going to make it to the end, though.
Yeah, he's not.
He's got red shirt written all over him. Yeah.
He thinks he's invincible or something.
That's right. Yeah. Pride goes before a fall.
Well, then we have Laura Harrington.
I thought she was quite fetching.
Yeah. So did the Bible salesman.
Well, he was just a creep.
Boy, you tell me.
But she's in natural, attractive, not glamorous movie star, unrealistic that this woman would ever be in a truck stop kind of situation.
Yeah, for this movie, she didn't look like she was stink. She would stink at all. Even in the bottom picture, she's sweating, and you just know she doesn't stink. Right. Not like those other guys. Yeah.
Right.
Was that another movie? Or is that... No, there's Emilio there. That's the same movie. Because she looks so different. Well, it's interesting. She didn't do a lot of stuff.
No, she didn't.
But she's been in like The Devil's Advocate, What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh yeah, I remember from that. Yeah.
I think I saw Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, she wasn't the main actress in that one, but I'm trying to remember.
Mrs. Johnson.
And she was good too. She acquitted herself. Again, not given a whole lot to do, but you like her. You instantly like her because the Bible salesman hitting on her, and she doesn't take any crap from him.
This is an interesting movie because there's tons of violence, but not hardly any gore.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean,
no.
We see blood.
The goriest stuff was pretty much in the baseball field. That and even that was pretty subdued.
Guy which was hilarious. Knocked a chunk off his head. Yeah, it was the cans shooting out of the machine,
and the kid getting run over by the steamroller. That kind of took me by surprise. I'd forgotten about that. It wasn't gory.
It didn't have everything they wanted to do. Yeah, Chad.
No.
I don't know. I can't remember. I used to know all the missing stuff, but I couldn't tell you what it is now.
Well, there was.
I know they took
apparently
out
he put a bag of blood under there, and the idea was
it exploded.
It was supposed to just go on the roller, and as it went down across grass, it would go red spot, red spot, red spot, as it went along to indicate the kid did, but it exploded. And so they like the kid's head blew up. So they tried to use it, but the sensor said, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So it's interesting to me what they would say is okay and what isn't.
Right. Well, it's because it was a kid.
Because it's a kid.
That's what really
yes.
is.
Mm-hmm. Nobody would care now.
Right.
Obviously not if you watch a couple of the more recent movies that came out.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. When Evil Lurks. That's the one we're talking about. Yep.
Holy
All right.
Oof.
Yeah, it's nasty. Well,
uh-oh.
For me, this is kind of the high point.
Yeah.
Because she is so sort of obnoxious and sweet at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love is long suffering, Jeff.
Love
is long suffering.
If I had to listen to that, I'd drive into a truck.
She just never shut up. It was great. They're running across what are they running through the drainage pipe or whatever and coming out the other side, and she's just yakking away. You hear her going as they're all running. She wasn't all that happy with this film.
Yeah. But here's one of the things that doesn't make any sense in this movie. The premise is the machines are, becoming sentient. And okay, I'm willing to buy that trucks could somehow come up with some kind of intelligence. But why not all the cars? How come their car never turned on them? And how does a carving knife, which there's no computer chip in a carving knife. There's nothing to take over.
Machine gun.
Yeah, machine gun has nothing.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like somewhere along the line, somebody said, this shit isn't scary at all. We better turn this into a comedy.
We got to blow some shit up.
Or do something, because this is not scary. I've always had that feeling about it, like adding her voice over the blowing up and explosions and just some of the stuff that happens in there. It just made me think,
right,
we're in trouble here, boys. We need to do something. We need to make this a comedy or make it scary or something.
Well, I don't know how much else she's doing, but she could be doing. I'm sure she's set for life off The Simpsons. Oh,
she sleeps in a bed of money.
And more sites.
She's been in a few TV shows I've seen her in and stuff like that. But yeah,
she's got 100 credits. A bunch of them are Simpsons, but 750 episodes of Simpsons over a 34-year period.
Wow. And this would have been just a couple of years before.
Yeah,
Simpsons went on the
89. It looks like here.
Set for life.
And the way they have her made up there, like a little frumpy little bride on the first.
Yeah.
But she, and she's such a beautiful lady, in real life. That's hilarious too. The long-suffering husband who
he's got to listen to that for the rest of his life.
The good-hearted husband.
Yeah.
Well, then we have our Bible salesman.
Boo.
From Barry Gordy's Last Dragon.
That's right. Look at that. The Last Dragon. And yeah, Stephen King really has a thing about Bible salesmen, because wasn't Greg Stilson from The Dead Zone also in the book, at least? I don't think they did this in the movie.
Wouldn't surprise me.
As I remember, he's introduced as a Bible salesman who kicks a dog to death. It's like, okay, well, here's the bad guy, folks. So I don't know if a Bible salesman scared little Stevie King when he was a kid or whatever, but he doesn't like them.
There's something skeevy about him.
There is.
I think it's two-faced religion. I think is he's got a thing against.
Because every time you look at a man and you say he's been reduced to selling Bibles, but he doesn't believe what's in the Bible.
Right.
Some mistakes were made there.
Oh, he's driving along with his hand on her knee.
Yeah.
How far are you going, honey? Depends how long you leave your hand there.
The way he's dressed, he's quite he's really going for that lady killer look. I mean, oh my God, dude.
Well, then they finally get a radio report, a news report, and he won't shut up while she's trying to listen to it.
Yeah.
that there's.
Is it my hat, honey? Does my hat stink?
Did you hear anything he said? Well, you are just the most impolite thing. Anyway. Yeah, so we got a couple here. We got the soda thing here.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I remember that from Fangoria.
Yep.
And going, this is going to be awesome.
I think that's what inspired all these folks I see on Halloween who have like put the tin can onto their head and put the latex and everything on it. And I don't actually recommend that people do that costume because they literally just cut a tin can out. They got sharp edges. And you're putting that on your forehead.
This costume? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically that's what could happen. You could end up doing taglines for us because no one else will hire you looking like that.
It was a rough day.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
I'll bet. But you came out of it smiling. Pretty much.
It didn't hurt that bad.
Well, half his frontal lobe is gone. Yeah.
Every once in a while you get one of those cans that just won't smash. All right. So yeah, to me it felt like they just wanted, at some point they just went, we're going to blow up as much shit as we can. I can't even imagine. Like they'd blow up, I don't know what was in that Miller truck they blew up, but there was tons of stuff flying through the air that looked like six packs. And I don't think they CGI'd it back then.
No.
In '86. So
no. Oh no.
If they ordered up a truckload of empty six packs or what the heck it was. I did want to mention this is my little thing, Bill, because I love the character actors. In the middle there is Giancarlo Esposito. Where do we know him from? Anybody?
He's been in a lot of Star Wars of late. And
wait, that's the guy from Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Yes, that's Chicken Man.
I did not recognize him. He's a great actor. Wow,
Yeah.
Wow.
And a bunch of
I'm so freaking face blind.
Better Call Saul too. He carried.
Yeah.
that over.
Better Call Saul.
Absolutely.
And here he's reduced to one line: "Yo, mama."
Yeah. Yeah.
And stealing change. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. What is that thing supposed to be in his hat? Was that?
Cigarettes? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that was it. Yeah, he did not last long. Then in the bottom is the guy there in the middle, kind of hard to recognize, is Leon Rippey, who's in Deadwood and a show I liked a lot called Saving Grace with Holly Hunter. And he played an angel that was supposed to be helping this wayward police detective redeem her life. I thought that was a pretty good show. Good acting. But yeah, he was a fixture on Deadwood, yeah. So yeah, another guy that he doesn't have a lot of, he's got like 60 some credits. I shouldn't say that's not a lot, but really good actor for the stuff he does.
He's recognizable when, one of those faces you recognize.
And then in the top picture, the guy on the left, African American in the kind of cowboy shirt, he was the driver of the Green Goblin. And he's Frankie Faison, who was in he's in all kinds of stuff, but he's in The Wire. He played like a police commissioner, deputy commissioner in The Wire.
He had a TV show for a while too.
He's a really good actor. And the other thing I ran into that's a weird little trivia about him, he's the only guy that's been in 4 of the Hannibal Lecter world movies.
Really?
He played a detective.
That's right.
Manhunter. Yeah. And then he played an orderly in the other 3, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal, and Red Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the orderly that Hannibal respected and didn't.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think he was in Chud and Cat People early in his career. Now that I said that.
He was
he was in the American version of The Grudge too. Banshee. Have you seen anybody seen that?
I have.
I have not.
He's in that.
The TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great TV show.
He was in oh God, what was the Marvel show? Luke
Cage?
Luke Cage?
Yeah, he was in that one. He played Pops.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
He gets killed after a couple episodes. He plays Sugar Bates in the Banshee TV show.
Mm-hmm. What a good show. What a good show.
I got to check that out because that looked really interesting to me when I saw it. And I like him a lot. So yeah, these are just guys that fairly early in their careers, you know, not well known, and here they got in this nightmare of a movie.
Yeah.
Made some money down in North Carolina. All right. Well, there are so many weird little things in this movie. I was trying to think of what some of the ones. Oh, you know, Chad, you mentioned there was a TV movie called Trucks in like 97, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
And it actually, parts of it seem smarter to me. Like they do that thing where they run into the drainage pipe. To a kid and a girl run into this drainage pipe. Well, the trucks, a pickup truck backs up to that drainage pipe and covers up one end, dumps its load out, and then another truck backs up to the other end, the open end, with its exhaust pipe lined up with it, filling the pipe up with exhaust.
Oh boy!
And these trucks were much smarter than the trucks in this movie,
Right?
And that starred Timothy Busfield. It's not great either, but it's a little better than this. But they still have, one of the things they do in both of these movies that drives me nuts is these people are have absolutely no control over themselves.
Yeah.
It's just like one after the other, one of them just freaks out and runs out to race to play dodging with the trucks or something.
Yeah, Frogger.
It doesn't end well. Yeah. Same thing happens in the other one. So, although one difference was in the TV movie, which is telegraphed all to hell. I think 4 of them escape, and they get out to this open field, and they see a helicopter, and they're waving at the helicopter, and the helicopter lands, and there's a big semi coming for them, and they jump on the helicopter, and it rises up just in time. And oh my God, they're hugging and they're so happy. And then they go to thank the pilots, and there's nobody driving the helicopter. Duh, it's a machine. So a little more of a weird ending. And then what about that slide they put up at the end? The Soviet weather satellite that actually has a laser cannon and nuclear warheads.
We're just, by the way, it was aliens all along.
They literally say,
now it makes sense. It was aliens, of course. Yeah.
It actually uses those words, the Soviet weather satellite that just happened to have a laser cannon and nuclear warheads.
Right.
Oh, God. It was just
yeah. It would have been better just not to explain. Sometimes things happen. Look, things happen. One day you're minding your own business and machines start having minds of their own. One of life's kooky mysteries. Don't explain it. We blew up an asteroid. There was the tail of a comet. That could do it. No? Okay, aliens.
All right, Floyd.
Wrong.
So it just...
Well, Andy, you see the aliens, they came in.
And the cinematographer got a reward for working in this movie. He lost an eye.
Man, what a tragic. But it would be one thing to lose your eye if you were working on.
Yeah, you're making a masterpiece, sure.
Yeah, but you lost your eye on Maximum Overdrive.
Well, according to this, he sued Stephen King and sued him for $18 million, and it was settled out of court. Ooh. It was a remote control lawnmower that hit a piece of wood, a block of wood, and one of the splinters went into his eye.
Oh, damn.
Which is what my dad used to do a rotary mower, the one with the horizontal blades,
Yeah, sure.
and do the yard, but he would not let us be outside, and he walked the yard and picked up any debris before.
Good dad.
And then when we started mowing, he got us real mowers. First, we had the push ones, and then we had push ones that were powered. But they were
self-propelled.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's not, and that was the story. Yeah, you get something in your eye thing, and it's one of those things that really does happen because people.
God, yeah, I haven't thought about those safely. In years. Those non-engine running ones that were just the blades, they had to push it.
Yeah,
and if you're cutting any grass tougher than say lettuce, it was just the most backbreaking, horrible. Oh man.
Well, and it's different. My dad, the first one we had, he bought from a like a local advertiser thing. He went and bought it from some guy for $5 or something. And oh my God, you couldn't push that damn thing when it wasn't cutting anything. You really had to lay in it to get it moving.
Yeah.
Well, then later on, he bought a new one where the blades were sharp and everything was set right. Well, we thought, oh my God, we're in heaven.
Yeah.
We didn't have a really big yard, but it was one of those. Well, yeah, we have a power mower. Johnny across the street has a power mower. Anyway. Enough about mowers. All right. I don't know. Do we got anything else to say about this? Apparently, that Dixie Boy truck stop was so realistic that they actually had trucks stopping by it while they were making the movie.
Wow. Every now, I believe I've heard that Stephen King's son wants to do a remake, and it's like, are you just trying to, avenge your father's one great failure? Or?
It would be quite different though, because my brother-in-law owns a trucking company, and he tells me about it. These things are highly computerized now in terms of fuel control and speeds and what gets you the best return for your dollar. What's the route that you drive, and every driver is measured according to this stuff. They all get this data. They got printouts on every driver and everything. So it would be easy for me to think they could be computer controlled, especially with there's a few companies that are experimenting with auto driving.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you could make a more plausible film now, although it's never going to be plausible, but more plausible, I guess.
I also thought the drawbridge going up was pretty lame. The way those went down, like the truck whose axles falls off, that seemed pretty easy. Well, that story was in the Night Shift collection, and also it trucks first appeared in Cavalier magazine, a men's magazine. I don't remember if it had nude pictures in it or not.
Oh yes, it did.
Did it? Okay.
The thing is, back in the day,
men's
back in
fiction.
the 70s and 80s, those sleazy men's magazines were a lot less sleazy than anything you'd probably find now, and they did legitimately. They tried to imitate Playboy. And Playboy was actually one of the best markets that a writer could sell in. I mean, that was like the holy grail because they paid good money for short stories.
And they did. So they did have stories in them. And
lots of good
pictorials were sort of like I don't want to say lower class, but lesser quality Playboy layout, kind of the same kind of thing. So, God, I just saw something there I wanted to mention and I lost it.
Guys, I'm probably gonna have to jump off here real quick.
All right.
Got a meeting to go.
That's true.
Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries. It was a good discussion.
Well, we have one short piece of feedback that you should probably read.
Better be real short.
Better be fast.
It's very read. Go ahead. Gothic Cottage actually posted for Cujo.
Oh, this was fun. Good to have chat back.
I guess they meant Chad.
Well, and listeners probably know Gothic Cottage is Crystal's YouTube channel. So go check that out if you haven't.
Take it easy, chat.
Have a good one, Chad.
All right. Will do, guys.
We'll be shutting off here in a few minutes. So.
All right. Keep her going. Keep her
All
going,
righty.
fellers. All right. See you
Get her
later,
done.
everybody.
Have a
Bye
good
bye.
one.
Should I read the first one from Renee?
Well, first, any final things about Maximum Overdrive, or we beat that to death
Stephen King calls it a moron movie.
Yeah.
And
he makes no bones about it, you know.
Oh no. He's loud and proud about how much but I think it's a little unfair. Yes, it's a dopey movie. But it was. I don't know that it ever would have been good. It amazes me, out of all the stories that he's done, all the great stories, this is the one he decided to do as his directorial review. I don't know if anyone could have made this a great movie. It's just not a great premise.
Well, supposedly, this is the reason that he made the fact that he made this movie is the reason that Evil Dead 2 was made.
Then it is completely redeemed. If this movie helped to get the Evil Dead franchise going, then thank goodness this movie exists.
He was a big Evil Dead fan, and it says while he was making this film, he heard that Sam Raimi and others were having difficulty making the sequel, so King took it to Dino De Laurentiis, who helped Raimi make Evil Dead 2.
Well, Stephen King is what got me into the theater to see the first Evil Dead, because he's right on the poster. It's like the most ferociously original horror movie, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, hey, I'll go see it.
He loved it. As most of us do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bill, this is perfect for you. These are all we just have a few short ones this week, or this episode. The first one's from your friend, Renee.
Yes. Renee St. Aubin says, I know her by a different name, but I do a podcast with her, and she's terrific.
Okay.
In fact, if you look on YouTube, I shouldn't be hawking someone else's different podcast, but the Video Store Junkies, we watched every single one of the Friday the 13th movies, and the four of us are just riffing on stuff, going through, categorizing them from worst to best. And she went and has spent the last few weeks editing our random thoughts and putting images into it, and it's super entertaining.
Okay.
So that does Video Store Junkies. Yeah, it was.
And
fun.
In fact, I hadn't seen that. I should do that right now, because I just did that same thing. I had only ever seen 1 and 2 and 10, I think, and so I went through and watched the whole.
Watching all 12.
Yeah,
although I maintain
5 days or so.
Yeah, I maintain that actually I think the Friday the 13th franchise is better, consistently more entertaining than the Halloween franchise, because Halloween started way up here and quickly went downhill, and Friday the 13th started right about here and more or less stayed right about here. So
there's some ups and downs.
There's some ups and downs, but you're never crushed like, oh, that was just a bitter disappointment. I expect more from my Friday the 13th movies. But anyway, Renee says about Cujo, oh, heck, this went from the most depressing episode to the most heartwarming. You guys are the best. Because we read another one of her letters, and I said nice things about her because she's a great person.
Oh, is that? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. P.S. If I didn't say it already, congrats on 2K subs. You guys deserve it so much. Thank you, Renee.
We appreciate all the listeners, too, because...
oh, yeah.
All right, and then from another, so we had one from Gothic Cottage, aka Crystal Cleveland. Here's one from Daphne, the regular on the classic era and sometimes 70s participator. She says, OMG, love this movie so much.
Thanks, Daphne.
And Daphne is she loves getting into the costume mode every year.
She's great. Yeah.
She posts updates. She played a trapeze artist, I believe, for her job, her group.
Oh
wow! Dress up for Halloween, and she posts pictures.
I love Daphne. If you ever see our episode where we did Planet of the Vampires, she actually whipped up a pretty good cosplay of the amazing costumes that are in that movie. It's like, oh my gosh, so creative.
And then one from, I don't know if do you know Kayla?
I don't think I do.
Kayla's been a follower for years. I think back to almost the beginning. She's a good friend of Black Saints. And she says, about Cujo. After reading like the first third of the book, I can't.
Mhm.
It is so heartbreaking, and I love dogs way too much. And you know how I am about puppies. I could not even handle that madness.
I totally get what she's saying, because that and I mentioned that the book, he may not remember writing that book, but he did a really good job of getting into Cujo's head, and that really ramps up the tragedy. The book is more of a tragic story, whereas the movie is just pure horror, because we don't really get to know Cujo other than he was a sweet dog,
right.
but
Right.
you know, but then he goes crazy. Now he's a monster, and
Well,
so you don't, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got the double taboo of killing the dog and the kid in the book, right? And it's one of those things I don't think about very as much as I should as a horror fan. So the feature image I put on there was a bloodied up head of Cujo, and afterwards I thought maybe I should have put the nice one, but then I thought,
Oh, well,
it's
a horror movie.
It is.
This isn't Beethoven 3 here. So
yes. All right, Kayla, appreciate it. Totally understand.
Yep.
So there's plenty of ways to stay in touch. Please send feedback to feedback@gruesomemagazine.com, or leave comments on the Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel, or even on Gruesome Magazine website. There's a place for comments. And there is a Gruesome Magazine HNR and DOH podcast Facebook group. The website's at gruesomemagazine.com. You can also leave a review on iTunes. And you could be a Patreon patron, and you will get Decades of Horror 10 to 12 days before everybody else. Before it goes live publicly, you'll get
the envy of all your friends.
Secret link. All right. We appreciate everything you guys do. We don't get paid, but it does. There are funds that have to be expended to do this stuff in terms of the website hosting and storage and iTunes.
We are paid with your love.
We are. And plus, this is fun talking about this stuff.
Yeah, totally fun.
So that's it for this episode, but every 2 weeks we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up, we tackle one chosen by me, which I probably stole from Bill, if he probably would have picked it soon. Nomads.
Oh.
We've had some...
which is the one I confused with Neon Maniacs, but
which I've never seen it, and it looks interesting. And Crystal got all excited because Pierce Brosnan and Adam Ant are in it, but also has Leslie Ann Downing and I forget the other actor in it, but the story sounds interesting too, and it's currently on Shudder, so we'll
perfect
go for that. Make sure you join us for that one. Catch us again here in 2 weeks for another great horror movie of the 1980s, as only Decades of Horror can do it. Say goodnight.
Night, everybody.
Good evening.